This is day 4 of the Godly Spouse series, and today I'm going to talk about faith. Mark chapter 5, beginning at verse 25. And a woman was there who had been subjected to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. Because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." This is a very, very powerful message in that Jesus says, your faith has healed you. She thought, I heard all these amazing things, miraculous things about him, and I believe that if I just touch his clothes, the hem of his garment, I'll be healed. Now you see, in those days, if you had things such as issue of blood, you were considered as unclean. And if you touch anyone, then they will be cursed with what you have. So she was not allowed to touch anyone. She was by herself for 12 years. And because she grew tired of the suffering, she decided to take a blessing. You see, sometimes when we're going through trials and tribulations, it's very difficult to see Jesus in all of that because you are covered in your pain. We don't associate God with pain. So I want to encourage you today. If it is difficult for you to have faith to get yourself through a difficult time, I want you to touch the very thing that is touching Jesus. And by this I mean, if you are struggling to move forward because your faith is withering, then I want you to grab hold of somebody who is holding Jesus. I'll give you a short story of my life. This year I was considering my exit strategy, ending all of life as I know it, in July, and I was actually planning to do it in October. Don't ask why, October was the month. And August I met a client who quite literally changed my life. And that was the 7th of August. The 14th of August, I met up with her again because there was a few things missing. She's a pastor, by the way. And there was a few things missing. Like I remember meeting her and I said to God, going on, I said, I can't do this. I don't have the strength. I don't have it in me. This book needs everything that I have, and I cannot give anything because I don't have anything to give. And he said to me, just read it. 2 days later, I sent her a message and I said, stuff is missing. We need more. I can't explain it over the phone. Do you want to meet up? And she said, no problem. When we met up, she wrote about 10 pages. And it was everything that I needed for her book. And I looked at her and I said to her, how did you know that this is what I needed? And she said, I prayed. From the moment we put the phone down, I said, Lord, whatever it is that Lord needs, please can you reveal it to me so that I can write it down and we can get this going. And he did. I was blown away. At the end of it, she said, can I pray for you? And I said, no problem. And she took my hand and she prayed for about like 20 to 30 minutes. I was so blown away by what happened next that I had to open my eyes mid-prayer because I couldn't believe what she was praying for. She ended up praying into my mental health. She prayed into my business. She prayed into my weakness. She prayed into my faith. She even prayed for my Boaz, and I didn't tell anything about that. And I could quite literally feel her handing me back to Jesus. My faith was renewed that day because I was touching somebody who was touching Jesus. And the power that moved that day was so indescribable. For the next 3 weeks, God was doing something inside of me, and he changed me entirely. At the end of August, I had a choice, death or Christ. The funny story is he called me in 2012, 12 years ago, and I was disobedient, and I suffered for the last 12 years. And this year he called me again, but much louder. And I responded, if you don't have anybody that you can hold on to who is holding on to Jesus, I want you to hold on to me. Because in my darkest moment, God sent somebody to help me. And I might be that somebody for you. So in the comments, if you need prayer to renew your faith, say so. You can even just type amen, and I will send up a prayer to renew your faith. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, this is the first and only time I'm going to say this, but you need to stay tuned because I've already received revelation for tomorrow's message, and oh my goodness, I'm excited about it. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to be a good way to start the year, is what I'm saying. So don't miss out. I'll see you tomorrow.